Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Patrick here at VectorVest, bringing you another video today on two meme stocks, both in the mortgage industry. That's right, we're going to be taking a look at symbols RKT and UWMC and seeing which one looks the best, which one has the most potential, get into some of the speculation as always, and take a look at the VectorVest standpoint from them and see how we can make these trades and turn them into profitable trades. So if you're ready to learn how to make some money, don't forget, as always, like today's video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get right into it. All right, so as you can see right now, we are in the VectorVest 7 software, and I want to start off by analyzing these two stocks based on the VectorVest analysis. Then we'll jump into the chart analysis, see what we can see with that. And then from there, maybe talk about a little of the speculation throughout today's video as well. So as we can see, RKT does rank better than UWMC, but both of these companies have a lot of issues. But there's a lot of speculation that these aren't being traded mainly for the fundamental play, but more so because there's a lot of short interest on these. And so that is one thing to keep in mind. But we're going to take an approach that regardless of the short interest, regardless of the fundamentals, we're going to analyze these and see which one racks up better and which one has the best potential to make you some money. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off in the value section. Now the value is what we currently feel the stock is worth. And the way we use the value is we compare the price of the stock to its current value. Now, the value is stating at this current time, this is what the shares should be worth. So RKT, for example, should be worth $41.60, but is trading at $25.82, telling us that this stock is undervalued and it's a bargain right now. The next one is going to be UWMC, which has a value of $12.57 and trading at $8.36. So both of these stocks are undervalued, which means that you're able to get these stocks at a discount. But let's keep going through the analysis. After that, we then get the RV, or the relative value, and this is looking at the long-term potential of the stock over the next 1 to 3 years. Comparing the two to each other, both of them have good long-term potential, but RKT definitely takes the cake for the better long-term potential over the next 1 to 3 years. Then we come to the RS factor, the relative safety. This is simply an indicator of risk. All these indicators are cast on a scale of 0 to 2, so above 1 is good and below 1 is bad. Both of these have RS ratings below 1, telling us that there is a lot of risk involved with these companies. One thing to keep in mind, however, is UWMC just started trading recently, so therefore there's not enough real consistent data on the fundamental side to back up a higher RS rating at the time. After that, we then get the RT. This is that short-term technical indicator here at VectorVest. Once again, it's cast on a scale of 0 to 2, and it's looking at the short-term price trend of the stock. With both of these stocks having an RT below 1, that tells us that these stocks are in a downtrend currently. But when we get to the chart here in a second, we'll see what we can identify as potential turning points, or what to look for to jump in early on the pop back up if these stocks do start to rise again. So after that, we then get the Vst rating, which is just a combination of RV, RS, and RT into one comprehensive indicator. And as we can see, both of these are below the level of 1 right now as well, telling us that these stocks are currently unfavorable. Now, keep in mind, this is just the VectorVest analysis, which has been proven for over 30 years. But we're going to get into the speculation and look at the charts to see where we could potentially go in the near future. After that, we then get the recommendation, or the ratings column here, which we can see. RKT is a hold rating currently, and UWMC is a sell rating currently. And once again, since UWMC hasn't been trading for nearly as long as RKT, there is a little bias for that consistency, or that longevity essentially, with RKT keeping it at that hold rating. So after that, we then get the GRT column, and that's really where we want to look at. This is looking at the forecasted earnings growth rate over the next 1 to 3 years. With RKT, we see a forecasted earnings growth rate of roughly 24% a year. That's great. We like seeing that. That shows that the company's earnings are growing. And here at VectorVest, we follow the philosophy that earnings are the engines that drive stock prices higher. What that means is if a company is growing their earnings, that means they're making money, and that means that stock price will continue to go higher over time. So for a long-term perspective, RKT definitely has the better of the two, whereas UWMC has a negative earnings growth rate of about 5% a year. But with that being said, UWMC does have some news out there that makes this look advantageous or makes this look promising. They have a lot of deals coming out. They had an earnings announcement that they blew out of the water. So UWMC still has a lot of potential, but based on the current information and current fundamental data out there, this is just looking at right now, not including that speculation and the news that hasn't been quite confirmed yet. So we look at the earnings per share, the actual earnings per share number. We see, once again, RKT definitely coming out with the better earnings per share at $1.75 per share, and UWMC coming out at 69 cents a share, which both are positive and both are a good thing because that shows both of these companies are making money currently, and that's what you want to see. You know, nobody would invest in a stock that's making or that's losing money because nobody wants to lose money themselves. All right, so now that we've gone over the analysis, let's jump into the charts and see what we can find. All right, so now that we're in the charts, we'll start off with the best performer so far, RKT. So as we can see, the stock was really just moving sideways for quite some time. And all of a sudden, right about the beginning of March, we saw a huge spike in RKT gapping up from 24.30 to opening up the next day at 27.34, running all the way up to a high of $43 a share. That is a huge run in a very short period of time. Some would call that a parabolic move. Now, on the graph, if you're not familiar with the VectorVest graphs, I have the basic layout here, which is showing the price in candlesticks. The purple line is a 40-day simple moving average. And then below there is the RT, or the relative timing. Once again, that short-term price trend indicator, really more of a technical indicator. So as we can see, getting back into it, RKT blasted off, quickly came tumbling back down, and now has since been starting to form a floor or consolidating here. This is a good sign if you're a bull, because as we can see before, we had a floor here, then all of a sudden you started seeing a ramp up and explosion up to that high, pulling back, no surprise. You're going to see a lot of profit taking from quote unquote paper hands, if you will, but you did see a lot of profit taking going on. There could be a lot of shorts coming back in at that high range, thinking it's outside the range that they're really looking for and trying to help reduce some of their exposure. So you did see a drastic drop back lower, but the good news that we see with this one is that it didn't just instantly shoot off to the moon and then come crashing back down, creating a new low. If that was the case, if we saw it come crashing back down and taking out the low here, set at 1870, this then would fit the pattern of a dead cat bounce. And what we see here is that it formed a low, but a higher low. So investing 101, an uptrend is defined by higher highs and higher lows, and a downtrend is defined by lower highs and lower lows. Well, we do see a higher low potentially being formed here, and higher highs as well. By the basic definition, or the most simplistic definition, keeping this stock in an uptrend, letting the bulls out there know that there is still life in this stock and there's still hope currently based off what we see. So what would we be looking for if you haven't gotten in and you have FOMO or fear of missing out? What are we looking for an entry? Well, I'll just come up here to the top and use our horizontal lines. And essentially, I would like to see the stock from a purely technical standpoint breaking out of that $27, $28 range. If we can see a breakout out of that sideways move or that channel there, that would be an extremely bullish sign. Now, just like with GME, nobody said it was possible, but here we are. GME is trading up above $200 a share right now. So anything is possible, especially when you have a lot of short interest on a stock. So for speculators, things are still looking pretty good. On a bottom side, you see a low here right around 24, 25 a share, and that seems to be acting like a really strong level of support. So as long as that can hold, by that point, we have higher lows and higher highs. Therefore, once again, keeping this stock in an uptrend and showing some potential coming up very soon. Also, if you look at it here, we do have on intraday looks, we have higher lows as well, which is definitely a good sign. Now, most investors typically look at end of day pricing, so the close to close. But when you look at intraday data, that gives you a little bit more insight on what investors are thinking, what traders are thinking, and gives you a little bit more ideas on where this stock could go. So from an intraday standpoint, we do have on a short-term basis higher lows here, and that's definitely a positive. That's a strong sign. That's what we want to see. So RKT looks pretty solid right now. Let's go ahead and move to the next one here. And UWMC. So this one, as we can see, we had that big pop around the same time that we saw Rocket Mortgage taking off. But there's one difference that we notice when you first look at these charts. The first thing is looking at the overall pattern. UWMC has top left to bottom right, whereas RKT was looking at bottom left to upper right. Now, when you see this stock, especially over this time frame, and you're seeing that we're going from upper left to bottom right, by definition hitting lower highs and lower lows, therefore putting this stock in a downtrend. We do, however, notice some interesting looks here, because just like with RKT, we are forming a floor right around the 814 level, and we have a ceiling right around the 888 level or $9 range. Now, just like with RKT, we are consolidating, forming a tight channel here, and that's a bullish sign because we're not continuing to move lower. We haven't taken out that previous low here. Therefore, just like we were seeing with RKT, showing that this stock may still have some life left. And that's what you want to see. If you're a UWMC bull, this is an ideal situation. Well, not necessarily riding it all the way back down from the highs of 1245 down to where it's trading at now of 840. But with all things considered and how much speculation there is in these stocks, this is definitely a good sign to see where you're having the RT at the bottom here starting to form a higher low. At the price action, once again, just like we were talking about with RKT, you're having a higher low when you compare the intraday lows there. And this is definitely a good sign. So to conclude, both of these stocks currently are starting to shift into more of an uptrend since they are forming higher lows. But as we mentioned, these are speculative plays. There's a lot of news and speculation going into these that could definitely be something you want to pay attention to if you are trading these stocks or if you're just holding these stocks. But overall, I like what we see. I like the fact that they didn't come crashing back down after that big blast off day and hitting a new low, which tells me these stocks still have life left in them. Now, I don't hold either one of these. I don't trade any one of these. But if I were to take one of the two, RKT, just because the fundamentals are a little bit better, it has a little bit more longevity, which gives you more insight onto the overall company and what they can do. But for you speculators out there, UWMC still has potential, but RKT takes the win today by just a slight margin. So let me know in the comments below what your guys' thoughts are on these stocks. Let me know if you guys are holding them. Where are you guys expecting these stocks to go? What are you looking at for a breakout? Do you agree with the analysis? Do you not agree? Let me know once again in the comments below. And until next time, take care, and I'll see you guys on the moon.